Hello, my name is Leroy Blevins. Welcome to Mysteries and Histories. In this episode here, what I'm going to do is I still got a lot of people talking about, well, Oswald being innocent and everything else like that. And I'm really getting a hard time from that because I place Oswald as one of the assassins. Well, like I said, when people views the JFK assassination, and when they talk about Oswald, okay, they talk about Oswald being a patsy and that's it. And then when they said, well, about the prints and stuff that was found, okay, they said, well, they took all them objects and everything to the morgue and placed his handprints on it, and palm prints and fingerprints and all this other stuff. But as I pointed out in my research, a lot of all these prints and stuff of Oswald's was found on the night of the assassination, which was on the 22nd of that night into the next day, Saturday. Oswald wasn't assassinated or killed until Sunday, and that's when he was in the morgue, but the prints and stuff like that's already been found. Now, when I first started my investigation and stuff like that, and how I always work, is I try to find evidence to prove certain things, like Oswald being a patsy or Oswald being innocent. Oswald had nothing to do with assassination. I even try to look for evidence in that because, at the beginning, I thought, Oswald was innocent from what I was reading and stuff. Like I said, from what I was reading and how people, said this or said that. But the more I get into the investigation part and I start piecing everything together and stuff like that, you'll see that there's no possible way, no matter which way you want to look at, whether you want to believe Oswald took a shot or not, Oswald was in on the assassination, no matter which way you look at it. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to present some evidence and present some other things that people want to point out and, say this or say that about it. Okay? Now, over the years, when people talk about Oswald, they don't show you in depth or in detail stuff. They just give you that story and say, here you go, that's it. But when you piece it together and you add it all together and everything else like that, you're like, okay, well, that makes more sense. But like I said, when they talk about Oswald, it's a patsy. That's it. Just like the backyard image. Okay. When they present the backyard image, okay, they sit there and they say, well, the image is altered. Okay. But the truth of the matter is, when it comes to the backyard image, okay, when you start revealing the evidence and you start going over everything, Oswald lived at that address. Okay. This has been not only by Oswald's wife, but by family members and also friends and stuff of theirs. Said yes, they lived at that address. 2, Oswald's wife, Marina, took these images of Oswald in the backyard, holding the rifle and had the revolver on the side and holding up them papers and communist papers. Okay, she admitted to it that she took the images. She has also turned over the camera that she used to take these images. Now, when they look at this image, they only point out one image, but as I show in my investigation, my research, there's 3 images actually taken in the backyard. Okay, Oswald in 3 different positions. Okay, now Oswald was fired on February 5th, which I point this out as well, which no other researcher is going to give this information. On February 5th, 1963, Oswald was fired for developing these images. He's also gave these images, but 8x10s of them, to some friends and stuff, which he has his handwriting on it, and Marina has her handwriting on it, and it was written in Germany as well, written in German. So see, everybody can say all they want about the images, but they're only going to tell you, hey, it's an alter image, that's not Oswald, and that's it. Okay, that's all they want to do. They want to present that. But is there any background check on it? Did they do any background check on it? Then who took the original image? What camera they used and everything else. They never looked for none of that. I look for it when the images were developed and everything else like that. Just like I point out, here we have Oswald in the backyard with a rifle and a revolver on the side that was developed, and the image was taken and developed before February 5th, because it was developed on February 5th, 1963. Well, we all know, when you look through records and stuff, when you start piecing it all together, Oswald didn't order the revolver and the Carcan rifle until March. which is 1 month later after the images were developed. So that places 2 rifles that Oswald owned and 2 revolvers. So I started looking into that. And I found, well, okay, here's a revolver that he has on the side in the backyard image. This is a revolver that he sold to his brother, Robert, for a sum of $10, which went in auction a few years ago. This revolver that was on Oswald's possession when they picked him up at the Texas Theater. So this indication shows Oswald had 2 different revolvers at one point. Okay, just like the rifle. The Clark Cannon rifle, just like when they sit there and talk about the Clark Cannon rifle, it was set up for a left-handed shooter, which I'll point this out. There's, which I'll pull up the Clark Cannon rifle here now. Was set for a left-handed shooter. Also, the revolver, this Clark Cannon, this Clark Cannon, was actually never fired that day. They only found Oswald's palm print on this, not on the rifle itself completely. They checked over the rifle when it's intact. Only how they found Oswald's palm print, which was on Friday night now, of the day of the assassination, is when he took off the barrel of the rifle, and underneath the barrel, that's where they found Oswald's palm print. But it was an old palm print. It was not a newer palm print. It was an older palm print, but that's where they found Oswald's palm print. Okay, which they point this out, but researchers and stuff like that, they're going to tell you a story that Oswald's innocent, so they're not going to give you this information. Now, as I point out, here's an ID that they found on Oswald, a pictured ID right here, which it says Alex James Hidell. Okay, and then the signature right here. Okay, this was found on Oswald's person the day he was picked up. This right here was registered to A. Hidell, which was also on Oswald's person at the same time. The Clark Cannon rifle is also registered to A. Hidell. Do you see what I'm saying? Now this revolver, now I want to show you something here. And we're going to look at it when you put everything back into its perspective now. Okay, let's look here for a moment. Let's pull this image up here. As you see here, you see how I got this one image here, which I'll zoom in, which I'll raise it, and then I'll shrink it again. I'll point to things. This is where they found the Clark Cannon rifle. This is where they found the Clark Cannon rifle and the clip for the rifle. Oswald worked at the Texas School Book Depository. They found a rifle over here, and this is a sniper's nest here. Like I said, Oswald worked at the Texas School Book Depository. He was on the 6th floor that day. Oswald's prints was found on this box here, 2 of his prints, palm print and a fingerprint. And then years later, when I came into the investigation, found Oswald's palm prints on the bullet casings that they retrieved from right here, which they never even knew about. And at the same time, we see at the sniper's nest, hey, there's a butt plate of an imprint of a rifle there. Dillard image, which verifies Oswald being on the 6th floor at the time of the assassination. Okay, so when we place this all together, and then Oswald have an ID says Alex James Hidell on his person when he's picked up. The rifle that they found, the Clark Cannon rifle they found in this location here at Oswald's work, was registered to Hidell. Okay, his fingerprints matches Oswald's fingerprints and palm prints and stuff like that. Images showing him there. So you see, when you put all this stuff back in perspective, just like the bag that Oswald carried to work that day was found right here. There's that bag. It's found right here. Eyewitnesses claiming he's carrying this sack with him, this bag in there with him, but it had curtain rods in it. So see, you're adding all this together and you're putting it all together on one big puzzle. Okay, like I said, the revolver registered to A. Hidell. Bought at the same time during the Clark Cannon rifle. Both the revolver and Clark Cannon rifle went to the same P.O. box in Dallas. Registered to A. Hidell. Oswald here, when he was picked up, this revolver was on him. This ID was on him. Alex James Hidell. So he is Alex James Hidell. He's the owner of this revolver. He's the owner of the Clark Cannon rifle that they found in the Texas School Book Depository and a location where he worked. Okay, Like I try to explain to people, let me show you something else. Again, people don't point this out. People don't want to show this. But I do. Let's look at here for a moment. Here's where the rifle was found. Oswald's palm print was on it. An older palm print, but his palm print was on it. Right here on this box. You see this box right here where my cursor is? That's where they found the clip. Ain't it awful funny that the rifle is over here and the clip for the rifle is over here laying on the box, just laying on the box. By an exit, which you see right here, stairway, exit right here. That was placed there for them to look in this location to find this revolver. To find this Carcano rifle. That's why he placed it right there. You see what I'm saying? Now, he wiped it clean. That's another thing, too, people don't understand. He wiped it clean. No fingerprints was found on this. No fingerprints was found on the Carcano rifle until they disassemble it. When they assemble it, or disassemble it, they found an old palm print of Oswald's on the bottom of the barrel of the rifle. An old palm print. But it was wiped clean, and this was wiped clean. Think about that one for a minute. Oswald set these things there because he was on the 6th floor, because eyewitnesses placed him on the 6th floor. There's reports that shows that when everybody left the 6th floor that day, they got on the elevator, the freight elevator that's up there. Oswald says send it back up to him. And they send that freight elevator back up to him from the 2nd floor when he got off into the lunchroom. Then, after the assassination, now remember, when this freight elevator goes up, that means the door goes up. And the door stays open, and that elevator cannot move until someone steps in that elevator, pulls down that door. That's when it moves. Okay? So when they send that elevator back up, they pull the handle down, which puts it to the 6th floor. They shut the door. The elevator goes up. And then when it hits the 6th floor, that door raises up, and it stays open, and that elevator does not move until that door is closed again. So Oswald is on the 6th floor Texas School Book Depository. We know this after 12 o'clock because they send that elevator back up to him. After the assassination, that elevator was on the 2nd floor, which I point out, which would have been easier for Oswald to get down to the 2nd floor lunchroom real quick, which is right here. As I point out, here's the elevator that was on the 6th floor, but then after assassination, it was on the 2nd floor. And as you see, all he's got to do is take 2 steps out, 2 steps over, 1 step over, and he's in front of the Coke machine. You see what I'm saying? Through the door that's on side of the lunchroom here, which I'll pull this image up here. Right behind this Coke machine, as you see here. See this outline from here to here? That is the elevator for the the outside in the hallway. This from here to here is the elevator that's on the other side of the wall here that goes through to this door right here to another hallway. This one goes to this side of the hallway, and this one goes to the other side of the hallway. That elevator was right behind this Coke machine. Oswald just steps out, walks around, and he's right there in front of the Coke machine. By the time the officer reaches this point here, Oswald's already standing right here in front of the Coke machine. So when you're looking through this door here, because remember they're coming up the steps, Oswald took the elevator down. As I point this out. But then again, people still says this and says that. Just like when I sit there and I tell people that, hey, when you look at it this way, okay, let's look at something here. They said Oswald was the man in the doorway, which I pointed out. It's not Oswald in the doorway, as we see in Aljan's image number 6. That is actually Bill Lovelady, which I show that from other films and images. But they still want to say this is Oswald when it's not Oswald, because no one's never even, there's no eyewitnesses even claiming to see Oswald outside in the front of the Texas School Book Depository, period. That's only a story that someone made up years ago. All right, now, with that in mind, people says, well, this person looks like Oswald, that person looks like Oswald, just like when they do, when they bring up the tramps, okay? This is Charles Harrison. But when you look at it and study, you say, well, this is not Charles Harrison, because you see how his cheek lines up, and it stops here by his mouth, but this goes under his mouth. He's got a higher cheekbone. He doesn't. This is more of a slope right around. His just comes up to here and curls back up this way. His don't. Okay? His eyes are not even matching up. Or his nose. My similar, a little bit of a nose, but even the chin's different. Okay? But they're going to say, no, this is Charles Harrison. Okay? These are the things that I point out, that you can't sit there and base this and base that on this and that. Just like they said right here, this is E. Howard Hunt, which is not E. Howard Hunt. Sorry. This is Hunt here, but this is Tramp C, as they put it. This is not E. Howard Hunt, but they said, no, it is. It is. Okay, because they look a little bit alike one thing or another. Just like when they're sitting there showing this picture here, they said this is Charles Harrelson right here with James Files. Now, when you take this picture in this image here, and you go to what he looked like back then, Charles Harrelson, as you see right here, we'll bring this up. You can see these are two different men. These are not the same thing. Charles Harrelson's face is more elongated, okay, more smaller and elongated, bigger forehead and stuff. He's got a shorter forehead. His face is more rounded off and stuff like that. See how his earlobes come down, but they cut across? Okay, they come around, and then they like boxed in right here and here. His is rounded off and bigger, okay? So they said they're telling the story, they're telling their story that this is James Files, which we know this is James Files, but this is Charles Harrelson, which is not. So you see, they're pointing, you know, they're saying this and saying that. Which I point this out, just like they said, this is Frank Sturgis right here, and not Charles Harrelson. It's actually Frank Sturgis. But you see, when we look at these images and we compare them, we can see that Frank Sturgis has dimples and stuff. This guy don't even have dimples. Okay, his face is more elongated, but his is all crunched in, more or less. The ears don't even match. His earlobes, I mean, up here is more wider. Okay, and it's more longer here. These are shorter earlobes, and his ear is shorter and stuff. So see, this is not even Frank Sturgis. So it's easy to take, and just like when they bring up Bush, an image of Bush and stuff like that, I could sit there, me analyzing films and images, and I want to show you something right here, which I could say, hey, this could be Governor Connally, or this could be Lyndon B. Johnson. We know it's not, because we know when the assassination took place, okay? But see this guy right here, which I'll see this guy right here where my cursor is? Okay, I could say this is Governor Connally, okay? Or Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, let me bring them up. I want to show you something. You can see a lot of similarities between these gentlemen here. Okay, I'll raise this up a little bit so you can see. This guy can actually be a double for Governor Connally. This guy here can also be a double for Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, we could say that. Okay, but we know for a fact, which let me pull up another image here that I put together. We know that it wasn't Governor Connally, and we know it wasn't Lyndon B. Johnson, because we know Governor Connally got shot, and Lyndon B. Johnson was in a motorcade and stuff. But you see right here, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, he looks almost similar to this right here. Okay, or even here with their mouth open. See how the bottom lip is? See how his 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 chin is? See how his chin is? See how his chin is? So see, we could say, hey, even the ears are almost exactly the same almost. But we could say, hey, this is Governor Connally, or this is Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, it's easy to say this or say that. Okay, even when you do a side-by-side, you can tell there's a lot of difference. But when you're having a professional coming out saying, hey, I'm sticking my reputation on the line here. This is this person, there is that person and stuff. And they're really not. Just like when I point out Oswald being the man in the doorway. They're even still pushing that issue today. But like I said, when in my investigation and my research, okay, because even if you look right here, and people don't point this out, okay, you have A.J. Hidell and Marina Oswald, okay, and you see L.H. Oswald signing this. Now, let's look at this. This box was closed 9/26/1963. This was also used when he was living in New Orleans, or Louisiana, or New Orleans. Yeah, I think in New Orleans. When he was living down in New Orleans, that was also a P.O. box that they used in New Orleans. So not only in New Orleans that he used that address, but he also used it as, the name. He also used it in Dallas, Texas as well. So you see, all along, Oswald was using A. Hidell. Okay, so like I said, when you look at this kind of evidence and stuff, all right, just like the two shots. Okay, now I know Oswald. Here's the two men. Here's the gunman that took the fatal headshots of JFK. Okay, which I'll bring this up right here. All right, we'll shrink this one. Okay, this is the gunman right here on the second floor of the county records building. He took the first shot to the back of JFK's head. Okay, this is the gunman here inside of shelter number 3. Took the fatal headshot to JFK. So we know that Oswald did not take the fatal headshot to JFK. We know this for a fact. We know that Oswald did not take the shot to curb where James Tague was standing. We know Oswald did not take no shots to Governor Connolly. So we know that for a fact. But Oswald did took 2 shots that day. There was only 2 shots. When I line up all the shots, there was only 2 shots that came in from the right going out to the left. Only 2 shots. All the rest of the shots was coming in from the left to the right or straight. You know, a straight line. Or from the right, pushing off to the left. But we're coming far right, not angled right to the left. There was only 2 shots that occurred that day. And that was, let's see, it should be, here's one of them. Here's one of them right here. Came in from the right, going out to the left. Body evidence is gathered. Entered JFK's back, exit his throat, past Governor Connolly's head, struck the chrome in between sun visors of the windshield. Okay, that was one of them. And even other evidence to back it up about a nick on the left side of JFK's tie. So it shows the angle going in this way. When you position the people back in, oops, closed out, didn't I? Didn't mean to close out like that. We're right here, because there's another video we're making here soon. Okay, now we're back in play. Back in play. But, like I said, that's one of them. When I pull this up right here, as you see right here, only 2 shots came in from the right going out to the left. And that was these 2 shots here. This shot here and this shot here. This is shot number 1, and this is shot number 5. And when you line up the holes and stuff like that, you'll see where they end up back to. Okay, there's only 2 shots, as I pointed out. 2 shots coming from in this direction. You got 2 shots coming from this direction. You have a total of 4 shots coming in from this direction. You have a total of 5 shots coming in from this direction. So you see, Oswald did not take the fatal headshot to JFK. So we know he didn't kill him. We know there was a conspiracy. We know there was other gunmen there. Excuse me, and everything else. We know all of this. Excuse me, I got to take a drink. But when I present this evidence, and I show this, and I talk about this, I still get a lot of slack from it. Just like for years, when people look at this image here, right in front of them, like I said, always in front of the public's eye, there's a butt plate imprint of a rifle right there on this box. And as you notice, even in this image here, okay, even in this image here, we see any shots come from this direction be going from the left, from the right out to the left. Am I correct? So see, this image here alone gives us a lot of information as well. Let me show you this. From this view here, all 2 shots be coming in from the right going out to the left, right? Okay, that's what this image is showing us. It's also giving us a sniper's view. Right here, we see the butt plate of a rifle imprint into the box. Okay, what else do we see here? We see scratch marks right here, where he probably laid his rifle, because it looks like a rifle outline right here, of the butt of the rifle right here. Okay, what else do we see here? We see people gathering around that manhole cover. So see, why is everybody gathered around this manhole cover right here? Because they knew 2 shots struck there. And then when you line that back up, that goes back to the rooftop of the county records building, and James Tague was standing right here. So see, we got a lot of people around that manhole cover, don't we? So see, look at how much information that this one image shows us. It shows us an angle, left to right, from right to left, butt plate of a rifle on the bottom right here, people looking around that manhole cover. Okay, not all in the different locations here, around that manhole cover. Not down here, not over here, not up here, not over here, around that manhole cover. So you see what I'm saying? That's what we look at when you do an investigation. You got to sit there and you take this. Just like other people, it's not going to show you this. They're not going to show you something like this and say, okay, well, here's a sniper's nest. Here's where the exit, supposedly where they found, this is where they found the Clark County rifle stuff. They don't even show you this in detail. You won't find any of this information or side-by-sides or anything else like that, or positions, or anything else, in anybody else's research, you're only going to find it in mine. But I'm the one who gets most of the heat for it. Even when I brought up the Dillard image, when I finally got a first-hand copy of the Dillard image, and I zoom in, as you see right here, I zoom in, and we see Oswald looking out, and we can see that then we have a lot of people coming up, sitting there saying, oh, either I altered the image, or someone else altered the image, or one thing or another. But even people's been for years saying, hey, there's somebody looking out of that window, but we don't have a clear image. All we're doing is seeing is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. But we can see, it's a dull outline of a person. So when I finally get a first-hand copy of it, and I said, okay, well, let's see who it is. Oh, well, it's Oswald. All of a sudden, everybody says, oh, no, this has been altered, or one thing or another, because they don't want to make sure that Oswald has nothing to do with the JFK assassination, when we know for a fact that he did have something to do with the JFK assassination, no matter which way you look at it. Just like when he was, people would say this and say that, but when you look at this, okay, and let me show you this, okay, this is found on him, okay, this is a Hidell, okay, and now let's go back to this image right here. All right, I want to show you something here, okay, and you have to look at this, and you have to understand, okay, here we have a P.O. box with Oswald's alias name, A.J. Hidell, and Marina. Not only from Dallas he used this name, but also when he was in New Orleans, he used this same name. And you also see him signing L.H. Oswald, right? Now, Alex J. Hidell. The revolver that was found on Oswald was registered to an Alex James Hidell, which also Oswald had an ID on him with his image on it that has it, and he signs Alex J. Hidell on it. Oswald did. Okay, Oswald's handwriting, the name, Oswald's picture, the revolver that's registered to Hidell, on Oswald, Oswald's work, Oswald's floor he was working on, fingerprints of Oswald and his location here, the rifle they found, the car counter rifle registered to A. Hidell, found at Oswald's work, Oswald being A. Hidell. So you see, when you start piecing this all together, you look at just this right here alone. And then we got the Dillard image showing Oswald on the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. And we got a bag that people's eyewitnesses claim seeing Oswald bring that bag in to work that morning, but he said it was curtain rods and everything else. We have 2 of the bullet casings that no one's never even knew that Oswald's prints was on it until we made that discovery some years ago. Okay, that's what you do when you do an investigation. You find a lot of stuff out. But when you start piecing it all together, you go, okay, this is understandable. Now we're looking at things differently. And then you sit and you go over the files and images and everything else like that, and you can see how people can misinterpret this or misinterpret that and everything else. Okay, you got a man that has an ID saying he's Alex James Hidell. The revolver found on him registered to this name. The Carcano rifle they found at his work, Oswald's work, registered to him as well. So you see what I'm saying? No matter which way you want to look at it, whether you want to believe that Oswald took shots that day or not, and as I presented here, Oswald was in on assassination. People with their false stories, just like Beverly Oliver. Okay, here's Beverly Oliver. This image was taken on the scene when they did JFK by Oliver Stone. This lady here portrays Beverly Oliver. Okay, see the camera she has in her hand. This is the type of camera that Beverly said she was using. But we know the Babushka lady had a box camera. A box camera. That's more better than that small little Yukashi or whatever camera she has. She said she was using. But people believes her because she was in the movie. People believes her because she said she was the Babushka lady, which nobody else claimed that there was a Babushka lady, but she is. So we have to believe her. And she sit there and says that she's seen Jack Ruby talking to Oswald and David Ferry and all of them. You know, she said. But we know she's not the Babushka lady. So is her testimony right about Oswald knowing Jack Ruby? Oswald talking with anybody else at the nightclubs or anything like that. Remember, what we was told about, if you take a look at him, what we're told about Oswald, he was a person to himself. Oswald really never went nowhere. He went to work, came home. Okay, he didn't go nowhere else, from what other people says. And we're talking family and friends that's close to Oswald and them. Every time they talk, well, he really didn't say nothing. He was just kept to himself. He just kept quiet. He kept to himself. You know, why would he go to a strip club? Seriously, think about it. Why would he go to a strip club if he was just concentrating on himself or just want to be by himself? I don't want to be in a room full of people if I want to be by myself. So you see, it's easy to make a story. It's easy to make a claim that this person's this person or whatever. But it's, but when you go into details and you start looking at things and you start matching things together, and you start putting it together and you start, seeing this and seeing that, people's got to understand, no matter which way you look at it, Oswald was in on assassination. Oswald, in fact, did take 2 shots that day, whether anybody wants to believe it or not. Just like I sit there and show people, he had 2 revolvers. He had 2 rifles. And then what did they also claim that they found here? Let's think about this for a minute. They claimed that first they found a Mauser rifle. Then they found a Carcano rifle. Okay? So basically, they're talking about 2 different rifles they found on the 6th floor Texas School Book Depository. So did they find the rifle that Oswald placed in the box above the window? Maybe they did. But if they sit there and say, well, we have a Mauser rifle and a Carcano rifle, that means there were 2 guys up here, but there was only 1 guy that was up here. So we're going to have to eliminate the Mauser rifle and just use the Carcano rifle, because that would place 2 gunmen on the 6th floor, wouldn't it? But we know this one was never fired. The Carcano rifle was never fired. That day, it was never fired. But they said it was. But it wasn't, because even by the records and in the report stuff, that rifle was not even fired that day. There wasn't even no gunpowder or gun residue on the rifle, on the outskirts, on the out of it, or anything else. There was no gunpowder or gun residue found on the rifle or anything else like that. So see, that rifle was never fired. But there was on the reports in the Mauser, yeah, there was powder found and stuff like that. But remember, they pushed that to the side. That's pushed aside. It never happened. Do you see what I'm saying? So they might have found both of them, as far as we know. But they had to switch around to where there was only 1 shooter, 1 rifle. I just want to make this video here and point out some more facts and stuff like that, because, people's been hitting me left and right about Oswald. They can't believe Oswald was in on it. They can't believe Oswald did this or did that. So don't forget that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Always in the description down below, you find a site where you can order my book, Evidence of Conspiracy, the only book you ever need in JFK assassination. And a site if you'd like to make a donation to the documentary. $30 or more, you get a copy of the DVD and your name's in the support credits. Again, don't forget that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, and you all have a pleasant, pleasant day.